military's elite schools turn soldiers into razor-sharp weapons. To become the best of the best, these men go to hell and back.
Get lower! I can't see!
We're trying to push them to the breaking point.
This is your life now. You're hardcore. Let's go!
The Special Forces Combat Diver Course takes only the Army's best soldiers. They're already Special Ops, Army Rangers and Green Berets.
Some of you are not going to know what hit you.
Now they will fight to become the most highly trained combat divers on the planet.
1, 2, 3. You better learn to like it. Everything is done to make them a better diver.
To earn the coveted diver's badge, these men will push the limits of the human body underwater.
The worst feeling ever.
If you get tired out in the ocean will drag you back out. The ocean will kill you.
1 in 3 won't make it. The rest survive the cut.
The ocean will chew you up and spit you out.
When Special Forces need to sneak in from the water, they send in their combat dive teams. Because water is an extremely dangerous environment, highly specialized training is required to master the equipment and techniques.
The stress that the water provides is incredible. The ocean is a very, very dynamic operating environment, and it's life or death skills that you have to master. Our capability is not only to enter the water, but to move a certain distance to reach a point where you're going to conduct a military operation.
Stay all right.
53 of America's most highly trained Special Operations soldiers assemble for the 6-week combat diving course at Trumbo Point, Key West, Florida. Most of Class 310 came straight from the battlefield. Few have had time to train up for this extremely tough course.
It's been a course that I've been looking to get into for a while. Just kind of worked out in my career where I was at a good point. And, I had the support of my chain of command. I was able to go for it, and here I am.
Basically, all the guys that I've always looked up to in the military, they've all been combat divers. And that's why, I want to be a combat diver.
Testing starts immediately.
Get back out here in gear.
First up on the pool deck is Alpha Squad. 10 men get ready for their first test. Swim underwater for half the length of a football field on a single breath.
We have to bring in a guy who is ready to train. We don't have time to teach a guy to be comfortable in the water. You send me the combat swimmer, and I'll make the combat diver.
And I'll give you a command, go subsurface. Once you go subsurface, you will not push off the bottom of the pool. At no time will any part of your body break the surface of the water.
It's a demanding test. Break the surface, and you're out of the course.
Go subsurface.
Safety swimmers shadow each soldier.
Once they go subsurface, they're going to move to their far side. They're going to turn around, push off their wall, come back to the red line, start-finish line. Once they cross that, they come back up. On the surface, we'll bring them out of the pool, get them ready for the next event.
All 10 men in Alpha Squad make it to the finish line.
Go ahead, slide out.
But this course is just ramping up.
How do you feel?
Holding your breath is one thing. Controlling fear is another. This is drown proofing. First up are Kennedy and Hedrick. They're each bound with Velcro straps, wrists and ankles. They are positioned facing 10 feet of water.
This is a confidence event. So if you can remain confident in the water, you'll probably be successful.
To pass drown proofing, each man will bob up and down in the deep end for 5 minutes, float on the surface for 2 minutes, then swim 100 yards around the pool. After the swim, they must do a front and back flip in the deep end, grab a mask off the bottom with their teeth, then perform 5 more bobs. Drop the mask, break the restraints, or touch the side of the pool at any time, and you fail. Fail twice, and you recycle to the next class.
The purpose of this is just to find out, in the most uncomfortable situation you can imagine, your hands and feet being tied and being in 10 feet of water, can you find a way to fight through a perfectly normal mammalian reflex, panic?
Kennedy and Hedrick start their 5 bobs. It requires the right balance of taking air in from the surface and letting it out slowly to sink. Too much air, and descending is a struggle.
What he's doing is he's bouncing off the bottom of the pool, coming up, getting a breath of air, exhaling his air to go back down to the bottom of the pool, and he's bouncing back up so he doesn't drown.
They've completed their bobs. Now they will float on the surface for 2 minutes, then swim more than the length of a football field with their wrists and ankles restrained. Hedrick starts the 100-yard swim in front of Kennedy, but in this event, speed kills.
See how fast he's going? That's going to be challenging. When he comes back, it's going to be difficult for him to do the bobs, because see how hard he's working? His heart rate's easily over 100 now.
Both Kennedy and Hedrick complete the swim. They start the final phase. 1 front flip, 1 back flip. Now they must grab a mask with their teeth and complete 5 more bobs. But Hedrick is in trouble. The mask in his mouth blocks his airway. He lets go. If he can't secure the mask and complete his bobs, he fails. Is oxygen depleted. His teammates step in.
Get that mask in your mouth. Yeah. Grab it and maintain it. Suck it up. It's 5 bobs. Get your t-shirt on.
I dropped the mask. So you gotta start all second bob. Yeah, I dropped it. I couldn't recover it. So I sucked a lot of water, you know.
Kennedy passes the test.
How do you feel?
I feel quite bad too.
All right, slide out.
Hedrick will be given one last chance to complete the entire test.
So, yeah, I'll go again. Do it this time.
As Hedrick stands by, one of his teammates is struggling.
Bob, face me.
Tucker is running short of air and overcompensates by pushing too hard off the bottom.
Move the gun.
He's broken the restraints on his feet, ending the test.
Undo it. Fail to maintain restraints. The observation that I had is you're pushing off way too hard off the bottom. And you're kicking on the way up. All right? Once you go up, you come up, get a breath. Relax, and then exhale. When you break your restraints like that, all right, that's signs of panic. Roger?
Right, Dicey.
You understand?
Right, Dicey.
All right.
The other 8 members of Alpha Squad struggle through the drown-proofing test and pass.
Good job. Good on him. Outstanding.
I came here with the expectation to go through a challenging course. When I first joined the Army, it was one of the hardest courses in the Army. Adapting to water is extremely hard. There's nothing easy about it.
Hedrick and Tucker are given a short break to regain focus.
We're going to get them back in the stack. We always like to give the student the benefit of the doubt. Things do go wrong. We understand.
Everybody has a bad day. You have that one moment. The water goes down the wrong pipe. Try it again. Is it an anomaly? Did it just happen? Or is it just fact the guy cannot achieve the event?
They have one final chance to pass drown proofing. Fail, and they're out of the course. At the U.S. Army Special Forces Combat Diver Course, 8 of the 10 candidates have completed the drown proofing test. Tucker and Hedrick are given one last chance to pass, where their time at dive school is over.
Until they crack the code, until they get over that hurdle, water confidence, that primal instinct to panic hits, and it's like you're on fire. The instinct to break out of your restraints, it's a powerful instinct, so that's your worst enemy. As long as a guy displays water confidence, then we know that he's ready to go on with the rest of the training.
This time, Tucker finds his rhythm.
At this point, what you see with him is he's starting to relax. He's getting that breathing pattern down. There's a whole purpose to this is relaxation, stress inoculation, finding inner peace in a very non-peaceful situation.
Travel.
For Tucker, cracking the code of this event is extremely difficult.
He wasn't afforded the chance to train up prior to coming down here. It's virtually impossible to just show up cold and pass these events. To execute it completely flawlessly with his hands and feet tied in the water, that guy may be 1 in 10,000.
Tucker finishes the 100-yard swim and enters the final phase of the test. But it's too much. Once again, he breaks the restraints on his feet.
Find that. Hand up. Can't break your restraints in any way, either the feet or the hands. If you break them, it's considered panic. If you fail it twice, that's it. You're done.
Hedrick completes the 100-yard swim. This is his last chance with the mask. Again, the mask slips from his grip. But it's not over.
3,
4. 5 bobs. Hedrick passes. He'll continue with his training. Tucker recycles to the next class.
He's quite capable. I mean, physically, mentally, the guy is strong. I see no reason why that soldier should not just completely kick this course in its proverbial butt.
Thank you, Dusty.
For the remaining 9 soldiers of Alpha Squad, there's no time to rest. It's right back to the pool for what will prove to be a very long night.
Quickly, man, quickly move to your gear.
This is Jock Up.
We're going to teach you how to do this correctly. Do you understand? Yes, I do.
The squad has 10 minutes to assemble and put on their gear perfectly, following a precise protocol.
Remove the regulator from the kit bag. Close the kit bag. Lift the tanks to a standing position and straddle the tanks. Do it.
Before the test starts, they drill the proper procedure. Everyone must get it right, or the entire squad will do it again, no matter how many attempts it takes.
Jock Up. Basically, it's pay attention to detail. In the dive world, people die on a daily basis, and that is why it's one of the safety factors we put in. Attention to detail, right equipment, right place, right time.
There's no way to be forgiving of not achieving these standards because the ocean won't be.
Slowly turn on your air.
If you tire out and need a break while you're driving your truck, pull off the side of the road. If you get tired out in the ocean, you can't take a break. The ocean will drag you back out. The ocean will kill you.
I cannot convey to you how important this is and how much more important it will become as this training gets riskier. Does everybody understand the Jock Up procedure?
Yes, I do.
The squad feels they're ready to go. They will now be on a 10-minute clock.
Can you do it?
Yeah, we can do it, that suit.
On your mark. Get set. Go.
All right.
They break into 2-man teams and race to gear up. Every hose, buckle, and valve must be in a precise position.
You can accurately and successfully perform these tasks. We'll move on.
Time is up.
Gentlemen, some of you are demonstrating a very low level of understanding. This is not good.
2 men have failed, and they're not even close to time.
Drop your mask. This is it. 2 of you have a major safety violation. It's something that can result in catastrophic failure of your equipment. You will not make it in this community. You will not survive. You will die doing this if you cannot pay attention to detail.
The squad succeeds or fails together, and failure has consequences.
We will ramp it up. We do this with stress inoculation. Hands and feet in the air, straight above you. Hands and feet in the air, straight above you. You have to understand the task. First Sergeant, go.
AKD! Exercise! 1, 2, 3.
The ability to operate under stress saves lives on the battlefield. The Rangers and Green Berets going through this high-level course know the drill.
Nothing out here is done with the intention of smoking the student unnecessarily. Everything is done to make him a better diver.
After cranking out floater kicks with heavy fins, the candidates hit the water for subsurface laps. It's a combination that's hell on the body.
If we introduce stress inoculation, it's done to make them a better diver, and so they understand that everything has to be done accurately the first time to ensure their safety. This is risky business that we're getting into, and we have to mitigate risk, and this is how we do it. This is the first level. This is the foundation.
You need to maintain your own motivation. Can you do that? Yes, sir.
The squad has endured 30 minutes of stress inoculation in the pool, and now it's their second try at jock up. They have half a minute to finish.
30 seconds. Your mask is up, looking straight. You're out of tension. Close your bags.
All right, gentlemen, you're blowing the time standard. Get your hands on the steel.
Failure number 2 means another 30 minutes of hell in the pool.
This is unacceptable. You will not continue with this training if you cannot do it right on time.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Their job is to train us, and our job is to get trained.
The ocean will chew you up and spit you out.
Whenever they're being aggressive, it helps you function better under stress if you're used to living or operating in a stressful environment.
You better learn to like it.
When it's all said and done, you're still going to be one of the guys on the team. The same guy that went through the same course they did when they were younger. No matter what, there's always that brotherhood.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
The reason we're doing this tonight is because we have no time for it starting tomorrow. We are going to hit the ground running tomorrow, sprinting. Some of you are not going to know what hit you. You have got to get this sorted. If you can't do it, you will not be a combat diver. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
It's 3:30 a.m.
What do you want to be?
Alpha Squad has been at this for almost 9 hours. They're on their 8th attempt.
We monitor everything. This is how we mitigate risk. We're doing this for you.
Let's go. 5, 0, 3, 1, 0. Attention.
8 minutes, 47 seconds, man.
Get motivated, man. Yeah. Holy smoke.
It's taken an agonizing 9 hours, but the squad finally succeeds.
From now on, we're never going to take a step back. This is a foundation. We have to constantly move forward. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
By the end of day 1, the men of Alpha Squad have jocked up their scuba equipment so many times they can probably do it blindfolded. And that's exactly what they have to do next, under extremely stressful conditions.
That's the worst thing we've done so far. Day 2 of Army Special Forces Dive School. The 9 remaining members of Alpha Squad are about to face their toughest test yet. This one-man event is designed to simulate what happens to a soldier when he's underwater, in rough seas, in total darkness. It will test his ability to stay calm and fight off panic.
The one-man confidence exercise It consists of several phases. The student enters the water, is given a blacked out mask, and then the first phase that they go through,
Alpha 1.
they encounter surge and surf passage type issues. They might get upside down or spun around. The air source might be swept out of their mouth.
The instructors simulate strong surf conditions. The violent motion not only disorients the diver, but it can damage his gear and cut off airflow. Each man must be able to fix his equipment and find his life-saving air source, despite blindness and extreme chaos.
He just got surged, and now he's trying to find his air source. There it is. Trace it. Calm. Good. Slowly. Good. Excellent.
During the one-man event, if a soldier places his feet on the bottom of the pool at any time, he fails. It's seen as a sign he's planning to push off and surface. The long night spent learning how to jock up and handle their gear is paying off now. But this test is about more than gear. It's about depriving highly stressed divers of oxygen to see how they handle it.
The point of one man is to work them up to a what we call a near hypoxic state. Carbon dioxide builds up as you're not breathing in, and you're not breathing out carbon dioxide. So that's building up and making you what we call air hungry. The second thing you have is you have hypoxia. So all your muscles and tissues in your body are using oxygen, so that oxygen level goes down, while your need to breathe goes up. When you reach a certain point of hypoxia, it'll speed up heart rate. So your heart is using more oxygen, so it's actually a vicious circle, and the anxiety starts to build.
The students reach a point where they are definitely oxygen deprived. The instructor that's administering the exam will continue to remove their air source at increasing speeds to the point that the student is starting to feel a tingling in his fingers. The student is starting to feel a little bit of that normal fear, the elevated heart rate, the pounding in his eardrums. I'm out of air. I'm a mammal, I'm underwater, and I have no air source. Natural, normal reflexes, and they're on the verge of, but not quite to, where they would pass out if they continue to push themselves.
The 9 men of Alpha Squad are oxygen-starved, barely conscious, and it's about to get worse.
It starts going into more difficult layers of this exam until finally they reach a point where they have what we call an unrecoverable air source.
Cameras are not allowed to film this final phase. Showing how the air source is disabled would compromise future classes.
Right now they're in the most intensive phase of the test, just to determine whether or not they make it.
You got black? Black.
So black means that student doesn't have an air source right now, so he's fighting to recover it.
Captain Smith monitors D'Onofrio as he begins the most dangerous phase of the test.
When the body reaches a certain point of hypoxia, they won't be able to function anymore. And at that point, you're getting ready to pass out.
Trying to be calm, keep your heart rate down, but your heart starts racing and you're trying to get breath. You're just trying to fight the urge to breathe.
After exhausting every option, D'Onofrio follows procedure. He ditches his gear and uses his sense of touch to try to restore his air source. The men being tested are highly trained special ops soldiers, but deprived of air, every one of them still has to fight the instinct to bolt to the surface.
You have more consciousness left than you think when you're thinking, oh my God, I'm getting ready to pass out. But we do see people lose consciousness in this course. It happens not infrequently. We are prepared. Our instructors are right there.
Why this is so important is the adversity of the waterborne environment. If you're doing it for the military, you're probably doing it at night, you're probably doing it when it's raining, you're probably doing it when there's surf conditions, you're doing it when nobody else wants to be out there.
The test has reached its defining moment. Stay calm, find and fix your air source, or pass out.
He might get a little weirded out, which is normal and natural. He's a mammal, he's supposed to be breathing air. But he doesn't lose his mind. He doesn't panic.
Surfacing means failure. Staying calm and restoring your air source means success.
If you panic underwater, not only are you probably going to die? You're probably going to kill your buddy, and you're probably going to compromise the mission. You have to learn to calm yourself down. Calm down. Let me trace my lines. I know it. Oh, I just fixed it. That is the test, because you have to be able to reduce the deficiencies under an anxious state.
One by one, most find their air source. But one student doesn't make it. Headache surfaces and removes himself from the class.
The student just wasn't comfortable down there. And he was continuing to try to fight through it and try to drive on. And as we slowly progressed, he took his mask off and gave me a signal he wanted to come up. So it wasn't for him anymore. And so we brought him back to the service safely.
You're being relieved from the course because of voluntary withdrawal.
Roger, that's it.
He took 2 weeks out of his life, trained up for, successfully passed the prerequisites, and then got in the pool. And he started working through the stress events up to the one-man confidence swim. Eventually, that soldier just reached a point, though, where he's like, you know, I'm at my limit for today. He's already passed the prerequisites. We know he's got what it takes to get down here, to be in this school, to achieve this. Just not today.
Everything's been really grueling. It's not only physical, it's really mental. I'm just trying to take it one day at a time right now, and I'll start working on my stuff tomorrow.
Hedrick recycles to the next class. He will have 8 weeks to train up. The remaining men of Alpha Squad have made it through the one-man event. They will move on.
Good job. That's the worst thing we've done so far. The worst feeling ever.
It does introduce a whole different level of uncomfortability, but this is just another way for me to become more of an asset to the bigger picture later on.
There we go.
Alpha Squad 310 is done with the pool. Now they will be pushed to extremes in the open ocean. At the U.S. Army Special Forces Combat Diver Course, Pool Week is over. 36 of the original 53 men in Class 310 have survived the rigorous testing. Alpha Squad is no more. The candidates have been split into new 6-man dive teams. For the next 5 weeks, the teams train on highly specialized equipment used in covert water operations. This cutting-edge technology allows Special Forces divers to move swiftly and remain undetected in combat water missions. Now all their training will come together in a 24-hour mission. This final phase of the course will decide who gets the diver badge and who recycles back to the beginning of the course. Dive Team 1 is assigned an extremely complex mission. They brief their plan to Master Sergeant Reed.
Final mission approval. It's on you.
Dive brief. We're going to depart Fleming Key at 1930 and a splash between 1930 and 2000 offshore of our target.
Their plan: parachute at night 20 miles out to sea with an inflatable Zodiac boat. They will then move by blacked-out Zodiac to a point 3 miles offshore. There, they will anchor their Zodiac and swim 1.8 miles until they reach the edge of a canal system. They will then move the last 1.2 miles underwater through a maze of canals. Once on land, they will locate a second Zodiac boat, hidden by a second dive team. After rigging the boat for their escape, they will move 1/2 mile over land to their final target. Their mission? Recover a case with sensitive material and escape by Zodiac back out to sea. The objective site will be heavily defended.
The first half of this course, there's a lot of individual tasks. They spend a lot of time proving themselves as individuals and their ability to go fast or to endure. It's the second half of this course that builds them as a team.
Dive Team 1 preps their gear for the operation.
All right, go ahead and set it down.
I was expecting a difficult course. I wasn't disappointed. It was difficult to begin with when the stress level was higher and they were looking for people that were uncomfortable and in the water, couldn't think on their feet and didn't pay attention to detail. We're mature enough to understand the cadre, they have a job to do, getting you able to function under a stressful environment.
The cadre here are some of the best instructors in the Special Warfare Center. They take their job very seriously.
Yeah.
So that made us, the remaining few,
excellent divers. Everybody tried hard, everybody gave 100%. Everybody was there, something has to be done. Everybody jumps on it, so the whole group, the whole team was great.
Every piece of gear they'll use in the operation is tested, rigged, and retested. The jock-up procedures they've mastered are now critical. Underwater, small malfunctions have catastrophic consequences. There is no room for mistakes. They have precisely 8 hours to complete the mission. Pass this test, and they pass the course. Fail, and it's back to the start of the course. The clock starts now. As Team 1 preps at the airfield, a second team's operation is already underway. Team 2's mission is to hide the escape boat for Dive Team 1. They perform a water jump 20 miles out to sea. T-minus 7 hours. Dive Team 1 loads up.
Feels good to know that you're almost done. I mean, we've been here for 6 weeks. We just need to pull together and work together and get it done.
After 6 weeks of intense training, Dive Team 1's aircraft takes off, just as night is falling. As it approaches the objective, the C-130 descends. As night falls, the soldiers receive the green light. This is the moment of truth.
Don't worry about them because I know they were trained right. I know my cadre, I know the chain of command, and at the end of a month and a half, I know these students.
Dive Team 1 leaps into darkness and begins one of the toughest final exams in the U.S. Armed Forces. The 6 soldiers of Dive Team 1 are plunging through darkness 20 miles out at sea. This is the final exam of the U.S. Army's Special Operations Combat Dive Corps. When they hit the water, all their training comes into play. The dive team links up with their inflatable Zodiac boat and moves 17 miles toward shore. 3 miles from land, they go to the surface swim phase of the operation. Soldiers wear chem lights on their heads so the instructors can monitor their progress. In actual combat operations, they would be undetectable.
I count 6.
The team is swimming to their rally point. When they find the canal entrance, they turn and head towards land.
All right, they've made their dog leg at least. You can see their chem lights have changed angle.
Romeo Delta, Romeo Charlie. Roger, they just made their dog leg. They're heading past the first subhead.
They're just falling on azimuth right now. They look like they're a little off, slightly staggered, but they're doing good. They're just following that compass man, hoping he's on track.
As we're coming towards you, I think they're adjusting. They're bouncing back off, back into the middle.
After 2 hours on the surface, Dive Team 1 has reached a checkpoint. They go subsurface for the final leg into the canal. To avoid detection, they use Draeger rebreathers. This high-tech system recycles oxygen in a closed circuit. No bubbles, no signature on the surface. Master Sergeant Reed is hiding near the team's cache point on shore. He uses a FLIR thermal binocular system to monitor the mission. Even though it's pitch black, if any soldier breaks the surface before reaching the objective, the FLIR will spot him. Detection means mission failure.
Alright, they should be coming right up the center of this channel, and it's up to them to try to navigate based off of time, depth, terrain, to figure out where they are, and if they're going to come online to the left, to the right, send up a scout. However they decide subsurface to manipulate this environment.
Dive Team 1 is 10 feet below the surface in complete darkness. Movement is painfully slow.
First off, there's 6 guys that are tied together. They've got on probably 70 pounds worth of equipment, and every other man has about a 45-pound rucksack of gear. So, yeah, as they're moving in, it definitely doesn't seem like an Olympic-class swim, but they're putting out some effort.
In 2 hours, the team has traveled more than a mile through the canals. Now, they have just 5 minutes remaining to reach the cache point, but there's no sign of them.
Once they make a decision, it should happen in relatively short order. You should see all of them coming out, assembling on the beach, accounting for their men, weapons, and equipment, and then moving off to conduct their mission. Hopefully we'll see their heads popping up here shortly. We don't know what decision they're making. That's the purpose of this exercise, is to put them out there and get them making decisions, thinking for themselves. There you go. Is that their head starting to pop up?
With only minutes to spare, a thermal signature appears on the FLIR. But they're off target.
They knew they were out of time, so they did what they were supposed to. They surfaced, they made the best of a bad situation. But because of coming up in the wrong place, it set them off a little bit as to where the cache was supposed to be. Obviously, they need to move back to the cache. They're completely under the gun. It's crunch time in so many different ways for them.
Now Dive Team 1 has 45 minutes to find their escape craft, prep their gear, and hit the target. Enemy are in the area. Move too quickly, and they'll blow their cover. Too slow, and they'll blow the mission. Everything hangs on the next few minutes. At the U.S. Army Special Forces Combat Dive Course, the students of Dive Team 1 are on the move. It's down to the wire to locate their hidden equipment site. They have 32 minutes remaining on the mission clock. Quickly and quietly, they rig their equipment and prepare for a fast escape.
They hit the beach, they reconsolidated, figured out where they were, they recovered their cache, they put their Zodiac into operation. These guys, as combat divers, have to work so hard just to get to work. Then they go to work.
The team exchanges their weapons for military-grade paintball systems. They move out stealthily toward their target, half a mile away. Hitting the objective at precisely the right time is critical to passing this course.
They know they're under a time crunch. They know the sun's going to come up. It's up to them to keep popping and kicking.
Instructors defend the compound. It's pitch black. With seconds to spare, Dive Team 1 reaches the compound, and the attack is on. The team moves building to building under fire. They locate the case, target acquired, but now they have to get it out.
Get out. Move it across. You two guys body bunker and keep maintaining fire, all right?
Croat and Kennedy stall the enemy while the rest of the team races to the escape craft. Master Sergeant Reed moves with the team to watch them execute their escape.
This should have been the slowest point of the whole movement, and they were off that beach so quick. There they go. Take it home, boys.
Dive Team 1 heads back out to sea with minutes to spare. Mission accomplished.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. That was everything that they're supposed to do. Work together as a team. Don't forget where you came from. And go home. Nah, that's beautiful. To see guys that have everything stacked against them, and they perform, and they fall right back on their training. You couldn't ask. I mean, what a graduation ceremony for these kids.
The 6 members of Dive Team 1 earn the Special Forces Combat Divers Badge. The ceremony is without fanfare, but every man here knows exactly what they have earned.
They've entered a much smaller community within a small community at this point. They're combat divers.